Municipal Agency Formation Commission for Monday, August 10th, 2026. If you'll please stand, we'll pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Chair Chopay,
Present.
Vice Chair Byrd, Commissioner Mashburn,
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Source, Alternate Commissioner Hernandez. Here. Alternate Commissioner Williams. Here. Alternate Commissioner Batchelor. Here. We have quorum.
Thank you. We'll give our commissioner a minute to get in her seat. Good morning. Thank you. Our next item are changes and approval of the agenda. Are there any, commissioners? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item.
Chair, there are no changes from staff's level either, so.
Okay,
we're
sorry,
good.
I missed seeing you over there. Thank you.
Move approval of that agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve? Second. All those in favor? We'll move on to our next item. Thank you. It's a closed session. We have none, and we have no report to a closed session.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our next item. We don't have to approve that, do we?
No.
Okay, good morning. Our next item is a public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to speak to the commission on any subject matter within the commission's jurisdiction, but not appearing on today's agenda. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak to an item?
I've received no cards, madam.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll move on. There's no public comment then on the consent items. Well, I should ask that. So our next item will be the consent items. We have our meeting minutes, our financial report, and an authorization for the executive officer to sign and execute the amended SDRMA Health Benefits Memorandum of Understanding. Is there a motion to accept the consent items? Is there? Okay, all those in favor? Motion passes. Our next item is the business items. Item A, LAFCO project number 2023-17C, Solano Cemetery District Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence update. Rich, is there a report on this?
There is, Chair. Thank you very much, and good morning to the commissioners, as well as the folks that are with us today. This is actually a second cemetery presentation in a series of 4 that we're going to have for the 4 public cemeteries in Solano. With me now is Tyra Hezdovic. She also did the Rio Vista Cemetery District MSR and is the project manager for the Solano Cemetery District, which you're going to hear today, the draft. So with that, I turn it over to Tyra.
One moment. Good morning, commissioners. So as Rich had introduced, we're going to be talking about the Solano Cemetery District today. So by way of a review for some of you, I'm just going to go over a little bit about the district itself and how it came to be. So the California legislature authorized the creation of public cemetery districts in 1909 through the adoption of the Public Cemetery District Law. This enabled local communities to assume responsibility for the ownership, maintenance, and expansion and operation of pre-existing cemeteries within their region. These cemeteries included those that were initially created by fraternal, pioneer, religious, and social organizations that were unable to operate and maintain them. point of interest is all of the cemeteries within Solano County's public cemetery districts were created roughly in 1850. So there are currently 4 cemetery districts within Solano County. You've already have heard the municipal service review for the Rio Vista Montezuma Cemetery District. Today we're going to be reviewing the Solano Cemetery District. And sometime in the future we will be bringing to you for your consideration the Silvyville and the Vacaville Elmira Cemetery Districts. In general, California has roughly 256 districts. And the whole purpose of these districts are to provide interment of human remains as well as maintaining these cemeteries in perpetuity. So the Solano Cemetery District has 2 cemeteries currently. So I'm just moving this computer a little bit. So they have the Rockville Cemetery. This cemetery is 30 acres in size. It's located on the western side of Fairfield. So let's see. The other cemetery is located just down the street here on Union Avenue, and that's going to be the Sassoon Fairfield Cemetery, and it's 17 acres in size. One thing the commission may not be aware of is the district currently has an agreement with the city of Fairfield for the creation of a brand new cemetery within the train station specific plan. So this is an area along Peabody Road between the cities of Vacaville and Fairfield. They are still currently working out the details, but this cemetery will be somewhere in between 25 and 35 acres in size. It is unknown as to when the cemetery will be created, but it is in the works as we speak. So here, this is the same chart that you have in your packet as well as in your staff report. We talk about the capacity that the cemetery district currently has, as well as their future capacity. So we mentioned that the first cemetery within this district is the Rockville Cemetery. Currently, 16.5 acres is being used actively as a cemetery, and based on the number of available burial plots, they have approximately 8.5 years of capacity remaining. They also have roughly 25 years of columbarium niche capacity, and in addition to this capacity, there's 13.5 acres on this property that is currently being leased out for agricultural purposes. Whenever it's deemed necessary by the district, this acreage can be converted into burial areas, and it's estimated that this area will create another 55 years or so of burial capacity. The second cemetery we mentioned was the Sassoon Fairfield Cemetery right down the street, and it is estimated that this cemetery has roughly 5 years of current capacity. And then lastly, we mentioned the future train station specific plan cemetery. The actual acreage is yet to be determined, but based on that acreage and just based on, excuse me, some of the equations that was provided to us by the district themselves, it is estimated that this new cemetery will provide anywhere between 101 and 142 years of burial capacity. As mentioned in your staff report, I did not include how many years of columbarium niche capacity these will have, because essentially that is up to the district, as it is pretty simple to include new columbarium in these cemeteries, given the fact that they require far less acreage. So here we're turning our turning our focus into the district's finances. This is a very high-level review of what the district did in fiscal year 25. In fiscal year 25, the district received approximately $3.4 million in revenue and had $2.4 million in expenses. This $1 million difference between the revenue and expenses can then be placed into the district's available fund balance, which can be used at their discretion. As previously noted, the public cemetery law established property tax as the main revenue for these districts, and thus, as you can see on the chart on your left, 72% of the district's revenue in year fiscal 25 did come from property tax. You may recall from reading your staff report that public cemetery districts are very labor intensive, given that they spend a lot of time maintaining their cemetery grounds as well as performing interments, and thus the majority of their expenses went towards paying for salaries as well as employee benefits. So here we're looking at the district's finances over the last 5 years. So I'm sorry, 6 years. In addition, there's some projections we'll get to in just a moment. Overall, this district is illustrating that the district has had a positive financial trajectory since fiscal year 20. I do want to call to your attention, I do want to call to your attention that in fiscal years 20 and 21, that this is the only time that the district's expenses exceeded its revenues, but this was because the district was actively constructing their brand new administration building. Following the construction of that building, the revenue has since exceeded the expenditures. So without going into too much detail, we did provide some projections as to what we think the district or how the district will perform over the next 5 years. Given the fact that the revenues consistently exceed its expenses, it is estimated that the district will continue on this forward trajectory. They have a very healthy a large net position. And what this really means, as you can see on your chart here, that's your purple line, this information came directly from their audits. A large net position illustrates that the district is strong from a financial perspective. They have high liquidity, they have long-term funding, and they can continue their operations for quite some time. One thing that is not shown on this chart here is another financial metric that we use is called days. I just forgot the word, sorry. Days cash on hand. And what this references, what would happen if the district stopped receiving revenue today? And what it turns out is, given the amount of money that the district currently has within their various funds, they could continue to operate for another 3.3 years should they not receive another dime of revenue. So you may recall that the public cemetery district law does require that all these districts maintain their cemeteries in perpetuity. This is done through the endowment fund. For every interment, there has to be an endowment fee charged. The Solano Cemetery District charges $600 for every interment. That includes both burials as well as niche interments. And this money is put into the endowment principal. This principal cannot be spent. The sole purpose of this principal is to create revenue interest that can then be used for future maintenance of the cemeteries. So as shown here, the endowment has continued to grow over the last 6 years, and they are continuing to receive a good amount of revenue interest for the purpose of maintaining their cemeteries. So the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act does require that all municipal service reviews address 7 different factors. So here we're going to very briefly go over the findings that came out of the MSR. So in regards to population and growth, it was determined that there is no direct correlation between the district's current growth rate and the number of interments that are currently being performed. So while the population of the district has increased over the last 6 years, we did not see a continuous increase in the number of interments. In fact, we saw the opposite. In some places, while the population increased, we saw the interments go down. And there's numerous reasons why this may have happened. The next finding was about the existing and future services. So it was, again, determined that the district has sufficient staffing and landscape groundskeepers in order to maintain their cemeteries as well as perform interments as required. The next one has to do with capacity. We've already kind of touched on that. But essentially, they have plenty of capacity currently, and they definitely have more than enough capacity once the future cemetery comes online sometime in the future, as determined by the district itself. We also touched upon our finances, but just to quickly summarize, the district has a very healthy net position, which again, that is really a very strong indicator as to the financial health of the district. As we saw from the previous graph, they are very solid financially, with revenues consistently exceeding its expenditures. And then, for the first time, as it relates to cemetery districts, we decided to address the district's sphere of influence. So, for the most part, the district's current sphere of influence is coterminous with its boundaries. The only exception is this little area located in between Vacaville and Fairfield. This just happens to be around the area known as the train station specific plan. Some of you may know it by its commercial name and refer to it as the One Lake development. So what we found out here is there's a couple of little areas in this general vicinity that are not currently within the district. So this area has been broken up into 3 specific areas because they're all unique in their own way. So Area 1, which you can see towards the top of the screen here, and you'll also see it's overlaying this green area. Well, what that signifies is that area is located within the existing Vacaville, Fairfield, Solano Green Belt. So the Green Belt is a joint power agreement between, as the name implies, the city of Vacaville, Fairfield, as well as Solano County. This Greenbelt agreement prohibits any kind of urban development, and given that there's no potential development potential, staff is recommending that the district, as well as the commissioners at some future time, consider removing Area 1 from the district's sphere of influence. Then we have Area 2. Area 2 is located to the east of the city of Fairfield, and it's located directly north of Travis Air Force Base. This is important because both the Solano County General Plan as well as the Fairfield General Plan has identified this area as Travis Reserve. This designation applies to certain unincorporated land that can only be used for the future expansion of the Air Force Base itself. If for some reason the status of the base changes, the other development can be constructed. However, as it stands currently through these 2 general plans, all residential development is prohibited. So given that there should be no additional residential development in this area, it is also recommended that both the district and the commission at some future point consider removing this area from the district's sphere of influence. Now this is where things get a little more complicated. We have Area 3. So Area 3 is broken up into 2 areas, geographic areas, that is. So we have the area just north of Air Base Parkway, so this is the area down here towards the south, as well as an area along Peabody Road, and it's up against the hills. You may know it as the Gold Ridge subdivision. So starting with the Gold Ridge subdivision, that subdivision was approved in 1994. And at the time that it was annexed into the city of Fairfield, it was not annexed into any kind of cemetery district, despite the fact that it was located within the Solano Cemetery District sphere of influence. Unfortunately, the records that we were able to find did not identify why this occurred. It's possible it was just simply an oversight. The Cortese-Nuts-Hertzberg Act was significantly different prior to 2000. So it was probably just something that was easily overlooked. And then we got the areas to the south of the Gold Ridge subdivision. Again, this area is located just north of Air Base Parkway, and it straddles Peabody Road on both sides. On the west side of Peabody Road, you have mainly an industrial area, which is designated by the Fairfield General Plan to also include some additional housing. And then to the east of Peabody Road, you have existing development. From what we can tell, the homes that were built there were built sometime in the 1980s, and the area behind those homes is a mix of light industrial and commercial ventures. Again, given the age, it's most likely this area was not included in a cemetery district because it was simply overlooked. Again, things changed dramatically after the revision of the Cortese-Knotts-Hertzberg Act that went into place in the year 2000. So knowing what we know, we've come up with a couple of options that we are currently working with the district on in terms of how we want to proceed. Luckily for us, the Public Cemetery District law does provide some options in this case. This is not similar to a city. Districts are allowed to have what we call a service hole, if you will. That doesn't necessarily mean that's always the best idea, thus we are considering all of our options. So these are a few of the things that we have discussed with the Cemetery District and will continue to discuss with them between now and the next meeting in which we will have a recommendation for the Commission to consider upon adoption of the Municipal Service Review and the Sphere of Influence. So the options are as following. So the district could choose not to annex the area, and if this were the case, Public Cemetery District law does allow them to charge an eligible non-resident fee, and this takes place of the property taxes they are currently not receiving from this area. So in other words, if someone wants the services from the district, they simply pay for them. The district could choose to annex the area and pursue to receive property tax, but this would require meetings with not only the county, but all of the various districts that are currently receiving a percentage of the ad valorem property tax. This could be very challenging given the number of participants who are currently receiving that property tax. And the last option, it may not be ideal, but it is a possibility. The district could elect to annex the area and not receive the ad valorem property tax, or even charge a non-residential fee. Now, this again isn't ideal because it's not consistent with Public Cemetery District law. One thing I should note is this is something that's in your staff report as well as the Municipal Service Review. Until recently, neither LAFCO nor the district knew that this area was not within their boundary. So people who have requested to receive services from the district were receiving it without payment. And what I mean by that is they are not paying property taxes and they're not paying the eligible non-resident fee. They are paying for the actual interment. So just like the Municipal Service Review, Sphere of Influence is also required to look at 5 different factors. So I'm not going to read all these verbatim, but in general, again, the district is in very good form. They have no control over any kind of land use decisions. This is left to either the cities and or the county in which the areas are located. We know that the city of Fairfield is the one who would be providing any kind of municipal services, not only to the service hole as we just looked at, but as well as any properties within the cemetery boundary. The cemetery only provides 2 services and 2 services only. They inter people and they maintain their cemeteries. Everything else is provided by a different entity. So we know that the cemetery district has adequate facilities and services in order to continue to provide those services in perpetuity. And there are no areas of social economic concern or interest within the boundary of the cemetery district. And lastly, we just mentioned the cemetery district does not provide any kind of municipal services, and thus this last finding does not apply to them. That would again fall on either the cities and or the county in which the areas are located. So with that, this was simply an informational meeting opening or making the Commission aware of the 30-day public review period. The 30-day public review period runs from August 5th until September 4th. And depending on how things go, we do anticipate being back in front of the Commission sometime in October. And that concludes the presentation, and I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any Commission comments for Tyra? Andrea?
Thank you. I'll keep mine brief. I'm still on the learning curve and have learned a lot about cemetery districts in the last 2 meetings, so thank you. I'm curious, as we talk about the service holes in the Fairfield-Vacaville area and kind of pros and cons of including them, how is Hidden Brook included in this? And has there been any review of what it means to have one neighborhood in Hidden Brook's the northmost neighborhood in Vallejo, to have just one neighborhood in a city in the district and the rest of the city not?
I did not look into when Hinnenbrook was annexed, but I can only assume it was done after the year 2000, and therefore we were more aware of all the strict requirements of CKH, Cortese, Knox, Hertzberg, and therefore upon its annexation, it was also required to be annexed into the district. So really it's the timing of the annexation. So prior to 2000, it can be a little iffy because the law was different. But following the year 2000, it's been more direct and more, what's the word I'm looking for, instructive in terms of all the things that we have to consider. So as far as I'm aware, there has been no studies to identify or to address the issue that you had brought up.
Yeah.
What does it mean in order to have one area of a city within a district and the rest not?
Yeah, because our whole rest of our city isn't
Correct.
included, and that was one thing that I remember talking to Rich maybe about last meeting. It was just curiosity. I don't know. I mean, it may not make sense at all to try and include Vallejo, but I was curious because we do have Hidden Brook in there, what the implications are.
I was curious myself. It's like, why is it a large portion of Vallejo, as well as Benicia, not included in the cemetery district? It was a very elusive question to hunt down. But what I was able to find is when the public cemetery districts were created, and in the case of Solano County, most of those happened in 1850, 1860, around there, sometimes a little later, they really focused on more of the rural areas in which all those small cemeteries were created by the pioneer areas, the fraternal organizations, things of that nature. And what I specifically found about Vallejo is they were saying that they did not have a public cemetery district because their burial needs were being met historically by private and nonprofit organizations, which was typical for older urbanized California cities. So it had already been urbanized, and they already had the cemeteries in place, and they were being taken care of privately.
Sense. So if we have additional projects coming online in our north and east, would there be a conversation potentially about whether to bring them into this district? And what would that be?
Well, they'd have to be in the sphere to start with.
Right.
Okay.
So typically, we include areas in a cemetery district upon annexation. So to do it at any other time, that would take some additional
Right.
review and consideration.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's helpful context. I'll keep thinking about all that.
Chair?
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Chair, if I may,
Yes.
one clarifying point. It's a bit because I'm a bit of a geek about property taxes. The people in Area 3 are paying property tax, and they're paying the 1% ad valorem. The fact is, they're just not getting a share of it to the cemetery district. So we don't want to leave you with the idea that they're not paying taxes. They are. It's just they're not part of the pie.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for such a great and thorough presentation. I had a question about the 3 different options for Area 3. So can you help clarify the process of the decision-making for their final decision on the 3 options? Like, is that going to be decided before this comes back to this commission for consideration of the approval of the MSR, or is that separate of the approval of the MSR? Separate.
So yes, that will definitely be separate. But between now and the next meeting, we're going to continue to work with both the district and, depending on their preference, other agencies that might be impacted by their desire in terms of which option they want to pursue.
Okay, thank you.
which is LAFCO Project 2024-13, the Maine Prairie Water District Municipal Service Review. Draft for public comment. Staff, report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Jeffrey Lum, our project specialist, was the project manager on this particular municipal service review, and he will be giving a presentation and sharing his findings with you.
Thank you, Rich. Good morning, Chair Chopay and members of the Commission. My name is Jeffrey Lum. Today, I'll be presenting the Maine Prairie Water District Public Draft Municipal Service Review. Before I start that, I would like to give thanks to Mita and Chris from the district for their time and cooperations throughout the review, and they were very helpful towards staff in providing information or any question that we have in working towards the draft that we have today. So thank you very much, Chris. So on your screen here is a very high-level overview of the Maine Prairie Water District. The district was formed in 1958 as a water district under Division 13 of the Water Code. The district current boundary covers about 15,000 acres, and it serves about 167 parcels. The district boundary is showing as a red polygon on the map right now. The district is located about 6 miles south of Dixon and 5 miles east of Vacaville. In terms of special district, we have SID, which is the green color polygon on the west, and we have Dixon RCD in the north, and we have a number of reclamation districts located on the eastern and southern side of the water district. It is also important to note that about 2/3 of the district is located within North Delta water agencies. The district is primarily ag lands with about 40 farms. The current population is about 229 based on census. Currently, the district provides primarily ag irrigation water service only, and it does it through a network of canals, pumps, and weirs. Next slides here provide you an overview of the district water supplies. They have 4 primary sources and 1 supplemental sources. The largest sources of primary sources came from the district appropriated water rights, which allowed the district to use up to 33,392 acre-feet of water. And the district next water source is from Solano Project water. The district has an annual allotment of 15,000 acre-feet of water from Lake Berryessa. The district usually recover tailwater too, and it's about 2,500 acre-feet, depending on the runoff conditions. And the last primary source that they have is the baseline SID supply. The district prepays about $250,000 for the first 5,000 acre-feet of SID drain water it receives. Now, those are the primary sources that the district received, and throughout the season, usually in the later time of the season, if the district needed additional water, they can reach out to SID and they may purchase up to another 15,000 acre-feet on a as-needed basis. So if you add those sources together, the maximum potential water supply is about 70,916 acre-feet per year. Now, I wanted to emphasize that the district actual available supply is generally lower. It really depends on the hydrological condition, and in the recent year, upstream users have progressively improved their water conservations, and which effectively reduce the drainage water available for Maine Prairie. This slide shows you an overview of the water demand within the district, and from 2022 to 2024, the district deliver an average of approximately 39,400 acre-feet of water. As shown on the chart, water rights is the largest share of the demand, which is approximately 18,600 acre-feet, which is about almost half of the demand. And Solano Project water is another 15,000 acre-feet, which is about 38% of the pie. And together, those two sources are about 85% of the demand. And Maine Prairie also purchased approximately 5,000 acre-feet from SID, so that is about 13%, and the rest of it is tailwater, which is 2%. This slide gives you an overview of the water demand from 2019 to 2024. So in 2019 to 2021, the water deliveries ranges about 45 to 56,000 acre-feet, and there's a water consumption behavior change after 2021 and beginning of 2022. In 2022, we see a noticeable change. The deliveries dropped to about 37 to 41,000 acre-feet. And that drop is mostly attributable to the increase in water rates and greater water conservation by the water users within the districts. Moving on to the financials of the water district. For revenue sources, Maine Prairie operate as an enterprise fund and maintain a single operating fund to account for the district activities. In 2024, Maine Prairie reported approximately $1.54 million in total revenue. Majority of the revenue comes from ag water sales, which is about $1.3 million, and is about 84% of the total. This means that Maine Prairie financial performance is really closely connected to their ag water demand and the amount of water sold each year. The district also received approximately $107,000 from ad valorem property tax revenue, which is about 7%, and their charge is standby charge, and they receive about $101,000, which is about 6% of the district revenue. The rest of it is interest and miscellaneous, which is about $30,000, and is 2% of the total. On the expense side, the district reported $938,000 total expense in 2024. The largest expense is salary and benefit, which is about $330,000, which is about 35% of the pie. Next one is water purchases. It takes up about $270,000, which is about 30% of the pie, and utility and operation is $150,000, which is about 16.1% of the pie. Together, when we compare this to the previous slides, in 2024, their revenue and the expenses, Maine Prairie received about $1.54 million in revenue while spending about $938,000 in 2024. Therefore, the revenue actually exceeded expenses by about approximately $600,000 in 2024. The slides provide you information about Maine Prairie's overall net position from 2019 to 2024. Just a quick update, the net position measures the district assets and deferred outflow and minus its liability and deferred inflow. So as shown, the net position line is the purple line. It increased from 2.1 million to 4.2 million from 2019 to 2024. So it's nearly doubled over this period. And the annual growth rate is about 15%. And then if you look a little bit lower, the green line and the red line, the green line represents the total revenue, and the red line represents total expenses. And it basically gives you the main reason why the net position is growing, because the revenue consistently exceed its expenses, especially after 2022. I also wanted to mention the dotted line after 2024, in 2025 and 26. Those are adopted budget projections, but it shows you that the net position is going to continue increasing and reaching approximately 5.2 million by the end of 2026. These are the key findings of the MSR, and we do find that Maine Perry has access to several water sources, including their appropriated water right, Solano Project water, and SID water. Their maximum potential water supplies is about 70,916 acre feet. And as I mentioned earlier, that figure is just a representation of the potential permitted supply, and it's not guaranteed amount. And recent demand averages about 39,400 acre feet between 2022 and 2024. Financially speaking, the district revenue increased approximately from 1 million in 2019 to 1.54 in 2024, with ag water sales being the primary revenue sources. And at the same time, the total expenses decreased slightly, with salary and benefit and water purchases representing the two largest expenses category. Maine Perry net position also increased approximately from 2.1 million to 4.2 million in 2024. And that is the adopted budget also anticipate that the growth will continue to 2026. And finally, the district existing facility are maintained and operated by Maine Perry Water District along with other member agency within Dixon Regional Watershed, JPA. Based on the findings of the MSRs, staff made several key determination. First, Maine Perry water supply is sufficient to meet the demand, the needs of its demands. And second, based on the current revenue, expenses, and net position, the district has the financial ability to continue providing ag water services. And based on those determination, staff is recommending that Maine Perry should continue to pursue opportunity to diversify and strengthen its water supply portfolio, including identifying some potential supplemental alternative water sources. The second recommendation we have is that the Maine Perry Water District should implement a reserve policy to mitigate some of the financial risks caused by any unexpected expenses. In conclusion, staff is recommending that the commission to receive the presentation and acknowledge the 30 days public comment period beginning on August 5th and will remain open through September 8th. Staff do anticipate to return at the October hearing with a sphere of influence and area of concern update for the district. That concludes my staff presentation, and staff and the district representative are available for any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Appreciate it. Are there any commission comments? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. It was well detailed. But I wanted to just circle back in the report about the website. As you mentioned in the report of SB 929, and I know I guess they apply for some exemptions for why they do not have a website presence, but that was 2018. This is now 2026. So do they have the capacity to create this website? And have they talked about creating a website presence?
We talked to the district about the website, and they are continuing moving, forward into making steps to get a website going. We recommend the district to talk to some of the neighboring agencies, such as SID or the JPA or Dixon RCD, so then they can, share the cost of maintaining a website together.
Oh,
So
I
they're continuing their effort into moving that direction.
Okay, so if just hypothetically, say someone in a community, because you can't access it, right? Would they have to put in, how do they get information from this?
They will come to the
District.
district office, or they can give the district a call to obtain any information.
Okay, just old-fashioned way.
Yes.
Okay, all right, I saw that and it made me pause about that. Well, hopefully they will reach out to these other districts because in today's society, you need to be online. That's just should be required. Thank you.
Question. Thank you for the report. There was I see that in the recommendations, there was a recommendation to diversify water, a different water source. The recommendation is there, but we don't have to provide a timeline for that to be accomplished. We just recommend. They can respond with, these are our plans or ideas of how we can achieve that goal. Am I on the right path there?
Correct.
Okay, correct.
Yes.
So there's a mention of an intertie here opportunity. Does that correlate with another opportunity to diversify water sources, to be clear?
Correct. They're currently looking into other sources, and the Intertie project is one of them, and they're currently in talk with RD Reclamation District 2068 and potentially use their system to get Delta water. But that's just still up in the air, and they're still working through the process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Are there any other commissioner comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll open the public comment. Are there any members from the public who would like to speak to this item, please? No cards. Seeing none, I'll close this item. Thank you. And because this is just a draft comment period, we will be getting this item back in October. Rich, are there any other comments from staff?
Yes, Chair, thank you. I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to the two agencies that you've just heard the reports on. They worked very closely with us for quite a period of time and were very generous with their time and the information that they shared. So I'd like to thank both.
Yes, I agree. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, so we will move on to our next item, which is item 10, the public hearing. There is none. So we will move on to item 11, which is our correspondence. Rich?
Yes, Chair, thank you. This is not an action item, it's an information item. And just to give you a little background, although the Dixon project was amended, our comments have stayed the same. Our comments haven't changed. Our comments revolve around the fact that the EIR needs to identify sufficient information to analyze the LAFCO requirements that are required under Cortese Knox Hertzberg. And they get that reminder in their comment letters because we do need the EIR to support what they're trying to do. So that's basically how our comments have come back on the revised project description for the city of Dixon.
Moving on to item 12, our executive officer update, please.
Absolutely, thank you. I've got a little note here. It says, reminder, Cal LAFCO conference coming. October 21 to 24, be there, be square. But what we really do need to know is if you're coming or not, because the price difference between pre-registration and regular registration, and you're in trouble, it's a late registration, quite a bit of difference, and it's actually part of the report in here. We outlined it just to kind of drive it home. The other thing we need to know is who's staying overnight so that we can get the hotel rooms at a, I was going to say reasonable, but who am I kidding? Cheaper than they would be otherwise. So,
We have a comment from,
Yeah, excuse me. I just want to let you know publicly, my wife and I have travel plans that we've already paid for during that period of time, and I would probably be sleeping in my tool shed in my backyard if I decided not to go on these trips. So officially, as much as I would like to, I will not be able to attend.
I thought you were already in the tool shed, Jack.
Well, there's another one that's more dilapidated. So I move, instead of moving up, I move down to less austere surroundings.
two words for you, Grubhub. Just order it in the tool shed. So that's, wanted to emphasize the importance of letting us know what your plans are for that. Also attached is a flyer on the conference, so you can see what some of the sessions are going to be about and the speakers and things like that. So I call your attention to that.
Do you, through the chair, do you know when it starts on the Wednesday and when it ends on the Friday?
Typically,
start
it'll start Wednesday
afternoon?
afternoon because there's a tour that they do for people to get there early. And apparently, it's of one of the sewer systems.
Okay. I would like to attend since I'm new. I think it's an important opportunity, and I will unfortunately be one of the people that is too far enough away, but I will try to limit. If it starts in the afternoon on the Wednesday and ends in the afternoon on
Well,
the
there may
Friday,
be a-
then that limits the amount of time we'd have to stay overnight. Which
There may be a Cal LAFCO 101 course that you may be interested in,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
okay, let's.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and that
sign me
sometimes
up
is-
for everything because I think this is probably
Yeah.
the good opportunity for me to get up to speed. Yeah.
I know we've had good feedback about the Cal LAFCO 101.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel my class. My students will get a day off so I can attend this.
the other thing I need to point out about the conference, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I'll let you know now. I plan on attending and I'll stay.
Good, thank you very much. Anybody else going once? The other thing we need to have for the conference, and I know Steve and John Carley will remember from last year, the voting delegate and the alternate voting delegate, they're very particular at Cal LAFCO, and I have to turn in a signed certification of sorts that this is our voting delegate and this is our alternate. So if you're also inclined, if you'd like to make that decision now, well, I can get it to.
I'm not going, but I'd like to throw people under the bus.
I was gonna throw you under the bus, so that's really
I'm not
unfortunate that
going,
you're not
but-
going.
We got a city rep and we have a county rep who are going, so why don't we let those be our two voting?
Done. Second. That's fine. That's fine.
I'm not going, so. No, ma'am. So you aren't alternate this time around. You're the.
As the vice chair, I'm happy to do that. So.
Yeah,
Thank
and then
you.
and then we'll make Supervisor
you.
Williams the
Now-
alternate. Do we need a vote or are we good?
No, I think you guys are good. I will say, Commissioner Williams, last year, they hunted down the alternate. They came searching for him in the middle of a meeting. So, also, moving on. to talk about some of the highlights of the projects and things of that nature. The first thing we'll talk about in our staff workload are pending projects and tasks, and we picked 4 of them to just let you know about. The SID detachment, that's being held up due to property tax exchange. It continues. The Sassoon reorg for the Highway 12 Logistics Center. We're working on the sphere of influence with the city about that. It's also, there's still no tax exchange for that one that we're aware of yet either. So that's a potential holdup. We have a grand jury request, and the grand jury request is centered around the reclamation districts. So we're working on that, and that's due to them on September 8th. So we're drafting our response. It's relative to the information and some of the items that we pointed out in our directory that we gave you earlier in the year. So, and then this will come back in just another section as well, too. So we're migrating to .gov. So I know that Sam has been doing a lot of work on it with Christina, and we're just about there. We're working out some of the wrinkles, and we should be going live fairly quickly. So we'll have the .gov address. So we've got the county, we've got our own, and we'll have a .gov. So sooner or later, somehow you'll get us. We've got 8 MSR updates. It's a lot. As I previously mentioned, we're doing the Sassoon MSR. It's good to know, though, that the MSR we're working for Sassoon does not include the expansion area. It is what they currently are looking at, not the expansion project. So that kind of clarifies a lot of the questions we get about Sassoon. We're working with Vacaville, Fairfield, Sassoon, Dixon, Vaca Elmira Cemetery District, Sylvieville Cemetery Districts, and 3 resource conservation districts, the Sassoon the Sassoon Resource Conservation, the Solano, and the Dixon. So we're trying to package those 3 together into one. So we're making that attempt. We tried it with the cemetery, didn't quite work out, so we had to separate them and do them individually. But we think that we may be able to do it with the reclamation districts. Relative to sphere of influence, we've got the SID sphere of influence. You just heard their MSR last time, 2 times ago, thank you. And so we're coming back, we're working with them on their sphere. And there's some interesting things going on there. The Rio Vista Cemetery District sphere of influence, we're going to be working with the district on that. They've got some interesting ideas. They would like to blossom and move into Sacramento County a bit. So we're working with them as well as Sacramento, LAFCO, and we'll end up working with Sacramento County over that. That'll be interesting to see how far that actually goes. The SID Roberts Ranch they're going to have a detachment. So we're looking to that. We've had conversations on that. And a really interesting one is SID is detaching, it's called North Village Area Plan 1 right-of-way. And what it is, particularly for the folks that have been on LAFCO for some time, it's those fingers of the landscape and the sprinkler systems that they have that I know my predecessor, Roseanne, was maniacal about trying to get rid of. So they're finally looking at detaching them from SID and turning it over to the city. So with that, that's the update. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Rich regarding anything coming up? Or
Well, we're going to miss the people that aren't going to be with us in Sacramento. So
I'll let you know. I'm not sure. I'm going to be gone, so I'm not sure I'll be back in time
Right.
to come. So I'll
Thank you for
check my
telling us.
return flight.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
But again, thanks to the folks that work with us on the MSRs. It allows us to give you a better product.
So I
thank
did
you.
have one comment. Please pass on my hellos to Mita Benefield. I've known her since probably 1984, and she's always been a special person in my heart, and she does great work for the Maine Prairie Water. All right, thank you.
So the next meeting we have scheduled for is October 19th. So might as well bring your stuff and we'll just go to Sacramento.
Just want to point out as a quick reminder that so the 19th is actually the third Monday in October. Normally we meet the second, but the second Monday is a holiday, so it is